A rally was held in Augusta today in support of divesting from fossil fuels. People stood outside the offices of the Maine Public Employee Retirement System in protest against the pension fund's investment in fossil fuels. They say a law passed in 2021 requires the state to divest in fossil fuels, but the retirement fund still has billions invested there. Mainers who spoke at the rally range from those who received checks from Maine PERS to residents dedicated to the issue of climate change.
Divestment is not only a moral imperative. It's easy to lean into the moral imperative. We shouldn't fund the climate crisis. But it's more than that. It's an action that we must be taking to protect pensioners, folks whose retirement funds are invested in the fossil fuel industry, and as a result, they are losing money.
According to the law, divestment must be completed by 2026, but the protesters are seeking change now.